Alrighty, folks, let's go ahead and get the session started for today. Great to see a good audience joining us to talk about using data loss prevention in Microsoft 365 to help you prevent and control, prevent inadvertent sharing and help control access to your sensitive data as your users are sharing it across the service. My name is Moss Libman. I'm a program manager on the Microsoft Information Protection and Data Loss Prevention teams. And I'll be joined today by Alex and Vaibhav. Wave. We'll be talking more about all the different solutions that we have available, and looking forward to your questions after the session to hear what you think. All right. So, jumping into it. Hopefully, I'm sure you've heard pretty frequently at the conference today, there's an immense amount of data out there that you're contending with and dealing with. And that presents a huge problem for organizations to try and control access to that data, understand where it's being used, how it's being used, and ensure that you can put the right policies in place to control and mitigate or govern that data. Here at the conference, as customers have come to us at the booth, we hear this so frequently, and that is organizations don't know where their sensitive data is. It's remarkably difficult to keep track of it. As I've mentioned, there's a wealth of data. I think there's some figure recently around the amount of petabytes of data that each of us are creating across a given set of days. So just reasoning across that immense amount of data is difficult. And that's not even contending with the existing data that you may have that's dark. You don't know what it is. Is it sensitive? Is it general? Is it something that I should just purge and get rid of? Do I need to care about it? And ultimately, that leads into your number one concern, which is how am I protecting my sensitive data? Do I have the right control so I can govern it? Now, before we get started, it's always kind of nice to get a sense of, from the audience, like how many of you feel that you have the right policies in place today to help control access to your sensitive data? Anyone? That's what we hear pretty frequently. Now, how many of you have a DLP solution deployed? That's right, excellent. So that's also pretty consistent from what we've heard. And how many of you are using multiple DLP providers in order to protect that data? A few, okay, yeah. Yeah, so this is a general, very common and consistent problem that we see, which is why we're investing heavily in our information protection and governance capabilities, so that you can have the visibility, knowing your data, understanding where is my sensitive data, how has it been classified, has it been classified correctly, who has access to it. All these key insights are critical for you to be able to put those right policies in place and ensure that data is being used properly. Now, the first sort of step in protecting your data is, of course, understanding it, which is why hopefully you've seen the Content Explorer and the Activity Explorer that we showcased here at the show. That helps you give you that starting point, that visibility into where that data is. Now, once you understand and you have those classifications, you've pinpointed those documents that do have sensitive data that you want to protect, that feeds into your ability to then control that access, to protect it, to put a sensitivity label on it, to encrypt it, or of course to govern it, or of course for today, how you enforce data loss prevention policies. Once you understand what that data is, you can now start to control its access. So data loss prevention is a critical tool that helps you, first and foremost, identify risky behavior, assuring that your users, when they're accessing and using sensitive data, making sure that they're doing the right thing and that it's being shared with the right folks and it's not being shared with an inappropriate person. And we see this very frequently where a vast majority of the sensitive information leaks are inadvertent. I think we've all done this where we had a document, we didn't know that somewhere way down at the end of it there was some sensitive data that shouldn't be disclosed to a given party. And so having that visibility and understanding is a critical tool that we provide. Now, once you understand and have that understanding, of course, being able to educate your users is a very powerful tool that we integrate right into our services, so that as users are working on sensitive data, as they're performing those potentially risky activities, we're able to give them a real-time notification, a policy tip, as we call it, to tell them and inform them, hey, this is sensitive data. This shouldn't be shared with external recipients. This is a financial record or a patent submission. Make sure it's being used properly. And we see actually a really significant change in user behavior as they see these notifications. As they get this in-context education, they'll know better next time. So it's really critical to both have the controls to give you the visibility and help your users do the right thing. Of course, as I mentioned, educating your users and helping them be aware is important, but you still need to enforce those policies to restrict access to inappropriate people or services, which is where, of course, our DLP policies come into play, building on the classifications and the labeling solutions that we have across the Microsoft suite. so that you can detect that and put the right controls. Our DLP solution, we take a data-centric approach, which means as your users are working on content, as they're working in a Word document, or as they're working on a text file that has sensitive data in it, we're able to accurately scan that content, find the specific type of sensitive data that's in it. Does it have PII data? Does it have financial information? Does it have a patent submission that's only supposed to be included within my organization? And once you have that classification, you can put the controls in place to restrict who has access to it, put those education policies in place, and then, of course, give you the rich monitoring and reports that allow you to generate your activity details, feed it into your SIEM application to identify risky behavior, feed that into insider risk solutions so that you can understand and identify potentially malicious or accidental leaks. And all that, of course, helping you to fine-tune those policies so that you can assure that as you're enforcing these restrictions on your users, that they're the right restrictions. Pretty common problem that what we see is if you put too rigid of a control in place for your users, you're going to encourage them to try and bypass your system. And clearly you want to help give them a nice, happy place where they can share their sensitive data, feeling confident and secure that they're doing so in a way that adheres to your information policy. So our DLP solution is built natively right into the Office 365 and Microsoft 365 services. So that includes Teams. We're seeing a huge adoption of Teams. Users really enjoy using that as a way to collaborate and share sensitive data. And so our DLP solution is integrated right into the Teams application, so we can have those education and enforcements right within the app. And of course, that expands across the breadth of the service, whether that's emails and attachments, SharePoint, where users are sharing sensitive data quite frequently, OneDrive, and of course right in the Office applications. So as users are creating sensitive data, as they're authoring it in real time, you can also pinpoint that, identify it, and then put the right controls in place. As I mentioned, our services are integrated right within the Office 365 services. So this gives you the ability to enforce contextual restrictions, whether that is preventing users from sharing externally in SharePoint or creating Anyone links, which is a unique capability only exists in SharePoint, or of course, restricting users from sending emails to external users or to the wrong groups within your organization. And all this starts from our unified policy configuration. Now, what this is intended to do is to help you protect your sensitive data. Now, we hear this pretty frequently. Sensitive data is sensitive data. Where it is secondary to what it is. And so that's why we've built our solution to make it super easy for you to create a policy that defines your sensitive data once, and then enforce that across the service, whether that's in Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, Exchange, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and switch on over and show you a demonstration of how you can configure a policy to protect sensitive data in Teams, and then what that end user experience looks like, how the enforcement works, and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over. Excellent. So here I'm in the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center, where I have the data loss prevention homepage opened here. Just a quick qualification, the preview here is actually of the new experience that we're looking at here. This is a nice refreshed UI and console where the capabilities exist. But if you're using our Office 365 DLP solution from the Security and Compliance Center, you're already got started. Your baseline is there. We're just bringing you to enriching the experience and extending those capabilities as we move into the Compliance Center. So here you can see my organization has several different policies that I put into place that are intended to help protect and prevent sharing of sensitive data. I'm just going to go ahead and go through the authoring experience and show you how some of these pieces work. Now, one of the first things that we have and that we've invested in our solution is a robust set of data classifiers. These are built-in sensitive data types that are for common types of data like financial data, PII data, or medical information. It's common types of data that generally everybody needs to contend with. Now we have controls and features that allow you to extend our solution. You can build custom sensitive types. You can augment even the ones that we have built in, and you can couple them together in a variety of different ways to really accurately and specifically find the data that you need. Now for today, I'm going to go ahead and put together a PII policy. So I'm just going to select US PII. As you can see, this is using some of the built-in types that we have in the system. Social security numbers, passport numbers, and ITIN. Now you can add these, extend these, and alter them if you'd like, but this is intended to give you a starting point so that you can start to protect your data sort of from day one. So once I've selected the kind of data that I want to protect, give it a nice friendly name so everybody in my org knows what this is intended to do, I get to choose where I want this policy to deploy. Now, of course, by default, we help you configure this across the service, but we do allow you to give you those fine-grained controls to choose, to exclude. For example, I could create a Teams-only policy that only applies to Teams chat channels and messages, or of course I can expand it to the OneDrive and SharePoint sites that my users are using to share the sensitive data from Teams. So within each of these different locations, we have very granular controls, so you can pick the specific SharePoint site, the specific user account that you want to protect. And through that, the policies are then applied dynamically based upon the scoping that you've chosen. Now here you can see I've chosen to apply this policy to all the Teams locations in my organization. So I don't have to go pick a bunch of lists or anything like that. I can just say, hey, anytime any new channel comes online, protect it, please. Next, as part of the authoring experience, you sort of have two different ways that you can configure this. We'll show you a little bit more a little bit later today around how some of the more flexible controls we have behind the scenes. But to get started, we've really tried to structure this in a way that just lets you kind of click through and say, yes, that's the kind of data I want to detect. Help me build some reports so I can really assess the impact and determine what I want to do next. So here, as I showed you earlier, that template that I selected helped me pick some PII data. And if I click Edit, I can actually zoom in and see a little bit more details about the specific types of sensitive data that this is looking for. Confidence level is actually a very important factor to keep in mind as you're configuring your policies, because within our system, we have a variety of different confidence levels that we use. And we start with a default that we try to pick that'll give you the right starting point. But you should definitely keep that in mind and adjust that. If you're seeing a large number of false positives, think about, are you using the right confidence level? Are you not getting the matches that you expect? Maybe you need a lower confidence level, or maybe you need additional corroborative evidence that you want to include in your policy. And right here you can see I have a number of different controls that I can pick from to add and extend this policy so that I can use that in combination with labels that may already exist on the content as the only trigger, or I can use that in combination. Find documents that have been labeled as general but also have a social security number in it. I could choose to take a different enforcement outcome on that. And you can group these together and get quite complex with how you configure your policies. But for today, we're just going to go ahead and stick with that. Now, as this is a PII policy, my organization wants to prevent my users from sharing this type of data outside. So I'm going to go ahead and select that this should apply to people when it's being shared outside. After I've chosen where and how I want my policy to apply, I get to determine what happens. How do I want that user to be affected when they're using this data and it's being shared in this way? That first critical piece is policy tips. Everybody should use policy tips. It's an awesome feature for you to be able to educate your users. And you can customize this. This is an experience we'll show you in just a moment that as users are in the applications, they'll see this notification. And you can actually customize that language so that it's using the terminology that's suitable for your users in your organization, or stick with our default text that we provide for you out of the box. Now, after you've configured or chosen how you want to notify your users, you can also determine, hey, what do I want to choose different types of actions or outcomes based upon how much sensitive data that I may have detected. By default, we actually go ahead and pick 10. And this is just sort of in the nature of what we hear from customers is often when users are sharing a small amount of sensitive data, it's often for a personal use, maybe not some inadvertent loss. So we'll maybe warn the user, say, hey, you maybe shouldn't share that credit card number externally. However, if I see a user sharing 10 credit card numbers, that's a very different signal. That's something that I may want to actually put a real-time control and block that from being shared right away, even if that user thinks they have a just means to do so. So these controls allow you to choose how much do I want to use, what's my sort of risk threshold before I want to start turning on those enforcements. And part of those enforcements include alerts, so you can notify your admin in real time when you've seen some suspicious activity. You can use that to feed into a variety of different systems. You can even use incident reports, which are an email that gets sent directly to you that has a full detailed breakdown of what occurred to result in that policy match. And as I mentioned, you can also turn on automatic restrictions to that content. So here I can see that if I'd like to, I could actually automatically encrypt email, or I can block and restrict external access to this content. So I'm going to go ahead and click on over. And here you can see I have a number of different controls that I can choose that will affect what kind of restriction I'm going to apply to my users when they're trying to share that data. In this case, we're going to block everybody from sharing this data. Nobody within my organization should be able to access it. But I'm also going to turn on overrides. Overrides is a really powerful feature because it's coupled as part of that policy tip education experience that's integrated right into the apps. Your users can actually give you feedback. You can give them a break the glass sort of an out if you want to. This is an option, so if your policy doesn't necessitate or it doesn't appropriate to allow them to override it, you don't need to. But of course, if you do, you can give them a really real-time ability to override a policy. And this is powerful because without this type of a capability, you're looking at users having to call help desk, wait potentially hours while somebody does an investigation to figure out which policy affected them. This just shortcuts that whole process. So in real time, they can click override, tell the admin what the business justification was to share that data, and then release access to it. So once you've configured your policy, you get to choose, hey, how do I want this to run? And by default, we pick test mode. And what's really nice about test mode is it's not going to impact how your users are sharing and who has access to data yet. This just lets you start to put out that net, start to generate that report, give you the visibility that you need to understand if it's being used or shared properly, and then start to put in the right controls based upon that. So conveniently for today, I've already created this policy and have it running. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out. And now I'm going to switch on over to Alex, who's going to show us how the end user's experience looks when users are working on sensitive data and they're trying to share it with the appropriate users and what that notification enforcement experience looks like. Hey, Alex.
Hi guys, good afternoon everyone. So I'm actually going to be playing the role of Lydia, who's the end user for Moss's company, which is Contoso Electronics. So to start off with a couple of questions, just kind of break the ice a little bit. How many of you guys have end users? All of you, right? Well, what I'm about to demo is going to be super important, and please pay close attention. So as you saw in the policy configuration that Moss just did, he had set up the DLP policy of protecting, I think it was social security numbers, right? For all organizations, all people within Contoso Electronics, right? And he had set up that inside of Teams and also Exchange and SharePoint and OneDrive, those would actually protect the sensitive information from externally leaving the organization. So what I have here is I've actually pulled up Microsoft Teams. So how many of you guys have Teams already? Okay, so awesome. This will really help you protect the sensitive information that's traversing throughout your organization, specifically externally. So in this one, what I've done is, since I'm Lydia, I'm new to the company, and actually someone's told me that I need to give my sensitive information of social security number to my HR rep, which is actually a vendor. So this has been something that my manager has told me to do and has already approved. So what I did was I'm going to go and say I'm going to tell my HR rep that I'm going to copy my social security number in here. And what you'll see real time is that the message will actually be blocked. Sorry, there's a little bit of a Wi-Fi issue today, but that's okay. While we're letting that go through, I've actually pre-populated this demo as well. So when I sent this a little bit earlier, it showed that my message was blocked. So I, as Lydia, will go, why was my message blocked? Is my company preventing me to do this? What can I do in order to go ahead and allow this information to go through? Because it has, it's already been approved by my manager. It's something that I need to go do to continue being collaborative and working within my organization. So I'll click the what can I do? And what you'll see here is inside, directly in line of Teams, we've actually natively built in the policy tip experience that Moss, my admin, has actually gone ahead and configured. You'll notice that it says my message was blocked because it contains sensitive information. So first off, as an end user, I'm like, oh great, now I know why it was blocked. It wasn't just for random informations. Contoso Electronics is actually looking out for my sensitive information. It's looking out for me as the end user. And it actually also tells me why it was blocked. It's because they detected social security numbers. And it's also protected by my organization, of course. And in terms of how do I proceed, well, I can actually see that there's two options of being able to override my policy tip, and I can send this through. So I'm going to go ahead and override this, and I'm going to say this is for HR. I can also have the option of saying reporting this to my admin. It doesn't contain sensitive information. So I'm going to go ahead and click this and confirm. And with that, what you'll notice that because my admin has configured the DLP policy to actually allow end user overriding, and it actually stores and audits the fact that I provided a business justification, I'm able to go ahead and proceed with my daily activities. So this is the way that DLP policies works with teams to allow your end users to continue being productive, even with the right policies in place. Now, switching over, I'm actually going to also show you the new experience that we have inside of SharePoint along with anonymous links. So how many of you guys use anonymous links within your organization? Certain handful of them, okay. Are you ever concerned that maybe these anonymous links are not going to the right people, right? That's oftentimes what we hear from you guys as customers around that. So what we've actually done is we have something where nowadays, inside of my project Obsidian spec, I actually have some sensitive content here. I'll show you. At the end of my document, I've actually included some credit card information. And just like how we are protecting sensitive information types like social security numbers, here in this particular document, the company is also protecting credit card information. This document has it, and at the top, again, you'll see that we've natively integrated the concept of policy tips, which really, really helps the end user understand why is this document becoming sensitive. I can click on Learn More options, which will actually take me into understanding why this policy tip showed up. Give it a second. Here it tells me that the item was protected by a policy in my organization, and I can't give access to it because it has the credit card information. So similar to how I had the ability of overriding natively inside of Teams, I also have the option of reporting this as a false positive as well directly inside of SharePoint. So for this option, I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to show you the experience of if I had gone and tried to actually share this. So I'll click in here, and the first thing I wanted you to notice is because the policy was set up that anonymous links are blocked for documents with sensitive information within the organization, I'm actually not able to give this link to anyone anonymously. So that's one of the really, really core fundamental features we have that really allows the end users within your organization to collaborate, but also have the right protection to make sure that their sensitive information is still being protected within the organization as well. And just to show that, for a document that doesn't have sensitive information, if I go ahead and share, you'll see that I can actually share this document. So this really shows the fact that we're really taking into consideration how users collaborate within an organization, but also putting in the proper restrictions and protections in place. And with that, I'll give it back to Moss.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. I'll go ahead and switch back over to the one more. Excellent. So as Alex just showcased, both our Teams DLP integration as well as a brand new feature that we're excited to announce here tonight, which is around data loss prevention controls for anyone links or anonymous links. And for those of you that may not have deployed that feature, what anonymous links enables your users, it's a super low friction way for them to share data externally. The person you share the data with just gets a link, they get to click in, they can access it. Super awesome for collaboration, not so great for sensitive data. So this now allows you to deploy that feature, allow your users to share data unrestricted, except if it's sensitive data, and give you those policy controls. In addition to our integration with SharePoint for anyone links, we also we're actually currently in private preview for another awesome feature in SharePoint called Sensitive by Default. What this feature allows you to do is assure, and we've heard some pretty consistent feedback from customers that are worried when users upload data to SharePoint, they want to put the shields up right away. They don't want to allow external access from the moment that data has been uploaded, and they want to make sure that nobody has access to it until DLP has qualified it as not containing sensitive information. And so we've worked very closely with the SharePoint and OneDrive teams to build this capability into the fabric where your data is stored, so that as users share and upload new data to new documents to a SharePoint site, it'll be restricted from external access. Internal users will be able to continue to use that content to share and collaborate. They'll even be able to create external shares, but external access will be restricted until DLP has scanned it and said, nope, this is not contains sensitive data. Of course, if DLP does deem that it contains sensitive data, those restrictions continue to apply, so your data continues to be protected, and you can help avoid that sensitive data from being accessed by users outside your organization. Now we're going to go ahead and switch over to Vaibhav, who's going to talk to you a bit about our built-in policy controls and some of the advanced capabilities that we've recently released in the service. Awesome. Thanks, Vaibhav.
Thank you, Mas. So blocking anyone links or anonymous links for sensitive content without having to let go of external collaboration, it's an excellent example of granular policy controls. Granular policy controls that allow you to strike a balance between productivity and security. Along with the granularity that ships with the solution, we also enable you for faster onboarding. The solution ships with 40+ policy templates for common industry regulations, ranging from PCI and PII. In addition to that, once you use or leverage any of these templates, within a few clicks, you can proactively start protecting some of your most common sensitive data. On an ongoing perspective as well, we enable you to cover all your blind spots. So depending upon the data that you create and store and how your users interact with this data, you kind of get a continuous recommendation of policies that you should be configuring. Now, the DLP policies that you configure, they have a direct bearing on your compliance score, which you would have seen in some of the other sessions throughout this meet. If we look at the components of a particular DLP policy that you can create, what you start with is conditions and exceptions. Conditions are primarily the content that you are trying to look for, as well as the context associated with it. Who's trying, what is the data flow, who's the sender, who's the recipient, what is the IP address, and so forth. Of all the conditions that we have shipped so far, you can kind of choose to use them in a positive or in a negative connotation, depending upon the granularity or the outcome of the policy that you need to drive. Once you have identified the data, or once you have told us which data do you consider as sensitive, you can choose from a bunch of actions which can lead to automatic remediation. As Mas was showing you in the beginning of the session, they can range from blocking the content completely or blocking the access completely to encrypting that content to what Alex showed us, which was just disabling the anyone links for content that sits in SharePoint and OneDrive for Business. When you are configuring these policies, we also let you determine what kind of end user notifications you want to provide. Some of those examples you have already seen as a part of SPO and OneDrive as well as Teams. Within email as well, we have the same coverage. So you can decide or choose to send to these end users notifications which kind of let them know what was the sensitive data that they were working with and why was their message blocked. Apart from every rule basis, again, the granularity continues through, not just from a perspective of enforcement, but also the kind of notifications that you want to configure for your administrators with respect to the context that these data flows might contain. We will now go into the demo where we will talk about 3 different things. One is the ability to dynamically scope your policies to a particular set of users. A couple of scenarios that you might encounter is when you are going for a staged rollout, where you want to enforce a policy, say first in your EU region and then to the US and then APAC. Or you might want to whitelist or blacklist some of your departments to deal with a particular kind of sensitive data. For example, you may choose to allow your HR department users to deal with sensitive data like your employee pay slips or your employee records, whereas the rest of the company is restricted from sharing that kind of information. Granular controls that we have now, people who are familiar from ETR, how many of you have used or are familiar with exchange transport rules? Great. So then you know the richness of exchange transport rules with respect to the conditions, exceptions, and actions that we support. We heard your feedback, and now we are porting all of that goodness from ETRs to our unified DLP platform as well. Now, when you're looking at content, there might very well be content which cannot be scanned or which cannot be understood, which might be encrypted or password protected. We want to give you the ability to say that, hey, if there is a piece of content that our engine cannot scan, for whatever reasons, you don't want to let it go through. And again, as we said, there could be different reasons from encryption, from third-party encryption to password protection, and so forth. So we'll quickly deep dive into the demo.
may need my face to unlock really quick.
So what we have done here is created a policy which says protect your HR data, and the controls that exist within this policy is where we want to allow only the users from the HR department to share sensitive information like employee payslip and employee records. Let me quickly go into editing the policy. As a part of the location, what you see here is I'm scoping this policy to only exchange email. However, I have the capability to include or exclude some distribution groups. Here, what I have decided to do is I am excluding the HR department from this policy to be enforced on. Primarily, any user who's a part of this dynamic distribution list of the HR department, this policy won't be applying to them. Going into the policy settings, I have a couple of rules that I've configured. One is allowing only HR to share the employee data. And the second is regarding the subject of our emails, and if I find any patterns which start with confidential or highly confidential. Let me quickly deep dive into the rule set itself. Now, these are the two sensitive content or sensitive types that I'm looking for. One is payslip, and the second is patient or SSN exact match. Now, the first one is based, we have different detection texts depending upon the content that you are looking for. Ranging from pattern-based recognitions, which is regex and keywords, to fingerprinting, to exact data match, which was recently GA'd. In some of our sessions, you might have seen the learnable classifiers as well, which are primarily machine learning based. These two, in this particular example, payslip is based on fingerprinting, whereas the patient SSN exact match is based on EDM, which is exact data match. Just to show you the kind of samples that we have here, this is pretty much structured payslip, and second is our patient records for this healthcare organization. As within the content contains, there are three different things that you see right now, which is, one is the sensitive info types, which is, say, the SSN numbers and credit cards of the world. And as Mas was talking in the beginning of the session, now we also support sensitivity labels. And sensitivity labels can, again, be created based on these learnable classifiers. So by virtue of being able to use these sensitivity labels as a part of your DLP policy, you can leverage the learnable classifiers as well. If I decide to choose any of these conditions, you see this is an ever-growing list. And here we have conditions which range from recipients to subjects to sender, as well as the IP or the attachment. Now, as I said, this is an ever-growing list. We will be adding to it so that it is at parity with ETR. And some of these conditions will be very workload-specific, say, to EXO, but other workloads like, say, SPO, SharePoint Online and OneDrive for Business-based conditions will also be appearing here. Once I have set this policy, let me just quickly go and show you the couple of users that we have created. Right here is a draft that I have created and for Alex Wilbur, which is, in essence, an HR user. And in here, the persona which Alex was using during her demo is the non-HR user, right? I mean, just for, in the interest of time, I've created a draft where I'm using the payslip as a part of the attachment. And you see the policy tips that you were able to see in SharePoint Online and as well as in OneDrive for Business as well as Teams is something that you see here as well. When I click on it, this lets the end user know that the message appears to contain the following sensitive information, which is violating one of my organization policies. Similar to Teams as well as SPO, the user has the capability to report it. I chose not to provide the capability to override, and that's the reason why they don't see or they don't have an option to override this particular violation. Now, if I quickly go in and click send, this is where they get a confirmation which says, hey, the send is blocked because the message includes one or more recipients who aren't authorized to receive the sensitive information. However, if I moved on to Alex, who indeed is a part of the HR department, and I click send, the message kind of goes through. So what you saw was a truly granular policy which is being applied to only a particular department and not to the rest of the users. Moving on, once you have configured these policies, depending upon how your end users are interacting with sensitive content, there's a notion of incidents and alerts that you can subscribe to. Now, these alerts and incident reports that you get are near real time, so that you get a sense into what your users are doing with the sensitive data, and they give you the insights to take a remediation action on top of them. All the telemetry that gets generated by these DLP policy matches or incidents directly feeds into other experiences like insider risk. Similarly, you can also use these alerts and incident reports to see the efficacy of your policies. If there are multiple false positives being reported for a couple of your policies, this is where you get a sense that, hey, maybe the configuration that you currently have doesn't align to your existing business processes, and it's time to go ahead and fine-tune these policies. All of the telemetry that gets generated from these DLP incidents kind of flows into our audit pipeline. And by virtue of our Office 365 Management Activity API, you can extract all of that information and then feed into your third-party systems like, say, or SIEM or CASB to take the workflow to those components. Here, you have two different kind of DLP events that you can kind of subscribe to and get. One which contains or which is non-sensitive. So if you are subscribing to this particular DLP event type, all you will get to know is that, hey, 5 credit card numbers were caught without, in essence, being able to know what those credit card numbers were. However, if you want this evidence or this context as a part of your telemetry, you can choose to go with the sensitive DLP type event, and which will give you, all the evidence or the context associated with that particular DLP incident. This is one of the primary example of what a non-sensitive DLP event looks like versus what a sensitive DLP event looks like. So with that, I'll hand it over to Mas, who will talk about what's on the roadmap, as well as how you guys can interact with us or get into our preview programs. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Vaibhav. All right, so as you've seen today, we showed you a bunch of the new capabilities that we've recently extended into our native solution, whether that was the Teams chat and channel support or the dynamic distribution list scoping, which now allows you to dynamically and in real time scope those policies based upon attribute lookups. So you don't have to have somebody managing those groups. You can have that automatically happen based upon how your directory is configured. And of course, a wealth of new Exchange DLP conditions, so you can really implement your email DLP scenarios in our native unified policy solution. You don't have to go back and do some contrived thing in ETR. We want you to be able to put all of your policies in place into our unified solution. Of course, exact data match. So if you're an organization who has to deal with medical records or PII data that you own, you possess, it's well-defined, MRN numbers or patient records is a very common example. So our solution allows you to integrate or take those insights that you have, your data that you have, anonymize it, and then share that with our system in a way that allows you to create policies that will exactly identify when your employees' social security numbers or MRN numbers or whatever type of sensitive data you need to protect is detected. It's not just anybody's SSN, but it's my SSN. And as I said, many other different controls. We have now an experience natively in the Office 365 Compliance Center for you can author your custom sensitive types. It's no longer an XML-only experience. Don't worry if you've gotten to know the XML experience. You can continue to do so. We're keeping that around. But for those of you that maybe aren't XML experts, now we have a nice authoring experience that you can use. On the horizon, as I mentioned, we have a couple features that are currently in preview, blocking those anonymous links or those anyone links so that you can allow your users to share and collaborate friction-free as long as it's not sensitive. We're integrating sensitivity labels, so as your users are manually labeling content or as content gets auto-classified, you can use your policies, integrate them with those signals, trigger that as an outcome so that you can piggyback on that classification that's already occurred on the content. Of course, you can continue to scan it for the classification types, but using that label is a really powerful way to sort of tie that end-to-end together. Sensitive by default, again, is another feature we currently have in private preview. It allows you to restrict access to data until DLP has qualified it as non-sensitive. And a couple other things that we have coming, including the ability for you to scope a DLP policy to a OneDrive site based upon the members of a group. So very similar to what you saw for Exchange, where you can use a group to define the set of users that you want to protect. You'll be able to apply that same type of a management model to your OneDrive sites. And of course, all along the while, as we extend and enhance the system, for example, we recently added sensitivity labels. So as you configure policies, both in the incident reports as well as the activity feed API, the label metadata and a variety of other metadata, such as who the content is shared with, will now be included in that audit event. And the purpose here is to really make sure that you get all the data that you need in that report so you can really assess, was this an inadvertent leak? Is this a problem that I need to go investigate further? Or can I just look at it, say, oh, false positive or suitable use, go ahead and let the user share it. And of course, much, much more we can't talk about yet, but I look forward to doing so in the near future. For next steps, we do have a couple of different ways for you to join us. I would definitely encourage you to check out the new Compliance Center, where we showcased many of the configuration that we went through here. There's an easy link here if you haven't tried out some of our new advanced E5 capabilities, such as EDM. You can create a trial tenant. And to join our pilot program, where you can start to preview these capabilities that we just showcased, there's another link down there, Adopt Compliance. So if you fill out that form, go through that process, we'd love to have you join us for the journey and give us your feedback around how are these tools meeting your needs, and how can we make them better to help you protect your sensitive data. We're near the end of the conference, so there's only a couple more sessions here that may be of interest, but do want you to have access to them in case you're interested. And with that, we're going to go ahead and end the session. And if you have questions, please come on up here, and we'll glad to hear from you. Or you can join us at the booth at the end.